up? I got Naskin here with me. This ain't a diss song, but yeah, you know what it is. I'm a cheesehead, y'all niggas cheese whiz. Pittsburgh Steelers, that's nothing. That Super Bowl ring, that's nothing. Pull up in your town when you.
How many audibles did you call today?
So many, John. So many. 30 probably. It's a good number.
Were they successful?
29 of them. Yeah, one bad one.
How'd you feel out there, seriously?
I feel pretty good. It's kind of a different first day for us. We're actually trying to ease into it, save our receivers and DB's legs, I think, early on. So we did a lot of red zone stuff today, where red zone usually is, maybe day 5 or day 6. But I think it's going to help us just kind of get our legs underneath us as we get into camp.
Speaking of the receivers, you had like everybody in the world going through there with the ones. Even the undrafted kid Shepard was in there for a bit too. Is that good for you? Is it a challenge for you to have so many different guys up there?
Well, I just think that means there's a lot of competition. I think there's a lot of guys they're looking at. I think the receiver room is fairly wide open. We've obviously kept undrafted guys here in the past. Geronimo is one of them. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for young guys on that side of the ball. Obviously, I love to see the progression with those guys. It's good having Trevor back healthy. Obviously, it's good having Geronimo back healthy. Jake has had a great spring. EQ and Marquez have made some really good steps. Jamon has picked up his play recently as well, and he feels good and looks good running around. And then obviously, Shep has done some nice things too. But there's a ton of opportunities. This is day 1 of camp. There's 0 jobs. Of the remaining, 15 or so open spots, 0 have been earned so far, and a lot can happen.
What did you make of the tempo today? Did it feel faster? It looked faster on the sidelines. Did it feel faster?
I felt we were just maybe a tad bit sluggish until the last period. Coach actually mentioned maybe we should have the music up that loud the entire practice. But I felt like we were maybe a little sluggish for some of us. I can speak for myself. I was a little bit sore from the run test yesterday, but I'm old, so I got a kind of built-in excuse.
How do you feel about the drill where you have to finish? You guys are running all the way through the goal line. Something new.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff. There's some of the drill work is a lot different. Some of the procedural stuff that we do, we're kind of splitting up at times too, with one group on one side, in team drills, another group down at the other end, which really gives a lot of reps out to the younger guys. I think it's a good thing to do. The amount that we're doing it, because it gives us a lot of film. Everybody can watch more reps of themselves. Where a normal training camp practice, really 3s and 4s are struggling to get a few reps in every period. And now in these situations, you're getting, maybe 6 out of a 12 set, which is really good for them.
What do you think you guys have in your defense, and how much can those guys help you, early on as you guys as an offense kind of get used to the new system?
Well, taking the ball away is really important. Our best defenses over the years, we're in the 30s, low 30s, mid 30s, high 30s as far as takeaways, and that's going to be important for us. Especially early as we're finding our rhythm on offense in a new system. But it looks a lot different. I think they are playing faster. I think they played fast today. They're in their second year with Coach Patton. I think Blake is very comfortable as kind of the quarterback of the defense. And we brought in a lot of maturity to that group with keeping Tremont around and Adrian Amos and the Smiths. It's just a different feel on that side of the ball. I feel like there's a little more juice.
Aaron, how does the locker room dynamic change on a substantial voice like Mike? Does Mike feel the day before camp, or is it too early, and you got to still have plenty of time to sort out new voices?
Well, that's the strange and tough part about this business is I saw Mike on the way in and talked with him briefly. Had no idea. And then next thing you know, I got a text from somebody that Mike was getting taken upstairs. And we kind of, when you say that, like so-and-so just went upstairs, you know what's happening. and I was surprised. I really was. Mike has been such a great contributor for us for so long. Not just a great player on the field, but a great person in the locker room, and so fun to be around. And then lastly, the part that kind of makes you the total package as a Packer is what he did in the community. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for the way that him and his wife, put on events and made a great effort through the community outreach program and on their own as well. And Mike will definitely be missed, and wish him well and hope we don't have to play against him.
Aaron, how have you seen Aaron Jones grow since last season, and how do you feel his skill set kind of fits into with Matt's offense? Unlimited.
Well, I think he's leaned out a little bit. I think he's looking good. With his running and his abilities out of the backfield, might have a chance to be more utilized. He almost made an incredible one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. He has great hands. Maybe not John Kuhn hands, but he's got great hands. And he does so many things dynamically in the screen game. He's a slashing type running back. He's just a talented guy, and I think we all feel great about him and Jamal. I mean, that's the 1-2 punch you're looking for. We need somebody else to step up behind those guys and complement those guys, because you need 3 backs in this league. But those guys have done a really nice job, and obviously, I think both our fullbacks have done a spectacular job, Danny and Malcolm.
You'd mentioned that it's kind of wide open in the receiver room right now for that battle for the number 2 position. Are you looking at guys in particular? Are you trying to test them in certain ways? How do you feel like it's going to pan out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot can happen, and this is just day one. We haven't even put the pads on. I think this will be an interesting camp from a competition standpoint, because we have 2 days against a different team, which we haven't done here for years. And especially for those guys who are trying to kind of stick in the number 1 group or be that first or second backup, that's a great opportunity, because there's going to be a lot of great reps. That's more realistic football in those practice situations, just like my friend Brady Papinga says. It's more realistic football in those situations than preseason, where you're playing a limited amount of defenses and you're only going to see 1, 2, 3 looks maximum. We expect Bill and Romeo and their defense to probably give us a lot of stuff that's going to test us, and what a great opportunity for those guys who are fighting for spots in the first 11 to really show themselves.
Aaron, what happened on the interception with Blake? Was there a miscommunication, or you just not seeing?
I didn't see him, and we ran the exact same play a couple plays later, and Tim threw it to Kyle, and I just said, "Can't see him." But I'll make sure. He's so tiny, I just no, he may not. I couldn't believe he caught it. It's good for him. He's been working on his hands, I think.
What do you think of that tempo stuff where you guys quick scramble line of scrimmage and snap the ball? I know you've kind of been a guy who's surveyed the field quite a bit in your career.
Yeah, that stuff works. I mean, I've seen it work against us. I've seen it work with LA doing it. It's tough because when you can run multiple personnel groupings and formations, it really stresses the defense on trying to get lined up. I think it's a good scheme.
Have you and Matt established a working relationship at this point? All the time you spent together over the last 4 or 5, whatever it is.
What do you mean by working relationship? Like, what does that mean exactly?
The relationship you want going forward as a quarterback and for him as a coach, I guess. It's a pretty important relationship to any team, obviously.
Yeah, no, and I'm not discrediting your question. I'm just wondering exactly what that means. I think what I can say is that him and I are friends, and I think that's the first part of the relationship. And the on-the-field relationship is one that grows over time. He hasn't called a play into me in a game situation yet. So there's a process of feeling comfortable with the way the play comes in, and him trusting me and me trusting him. But I feel great about the communication. I mean, he's in every meeting. We spend time one-on-one talking about stuff. He's the main voice in the offensive room, and but he really appreciates open conversation and ideas and creativity. So it's been a great relationship, a great start to it, and I look forward to that growing and getting into that rhythm with him as a play caller.
Still no scotch or
past the
golf?
point now where you're asking them, why are we doing this?
No.
Do you still?
No, I think that's an important question in any offense. You know, and there's still some plays that we maybe haven't taken a specific look at that it helps, you know, if I say, hey, you know, what are we doing this for? Why are we doing this concept? And he can show me, you know, 20 clips on it. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I like that. So I think you always, for me, I'm a visual learner in that sense. So I can figure it out on paper and I'm fine with that, but I like to see it as well. And it helps me to kind of lock it into my brain. So the more questions I ask, the more film he shows, the better I feel about concepts, the better he feels knowing I'm confident in what we're doing. And that's how the relationship grows, I think.
With Giannis taking home the MVP, what is it like being one of the 4 active MVPs? So with Giannis taking the MVP, what is it like being one of the 4 active MVPs in the state of Wisconsin?
Well, I'm actually not the current MVP. I'd like to be, but I said it last year. We got a great time to be a Wisconsin sports fan. There's a lot of great things going on. The Bucks, you know, did a great job this season, retooled. Christian Yelich is the best player in baseball. He, you know, got a great chance to win MVP again. I was looking up his stats the other day. I think he's like, you know, top 3 in batting average, runs, RBIs, first and home runs. You know, he's an incredible player. And, you know, Giannis obviously had a fantastic season. Great guy, loves being there. So it's an exciting time to be a fan of the professional teams in Wisconsin.
I know this time last year you were excited about your Game of Thrones debut. Anything you work on this offseason that we could see you in the future?
No, but I'd like to be on Shark Week again. I'd like to be on Jeopardy again. Those 2 for sure, yeah.
Aaron, if you go up to the line of scrimmage now, how many plays out of what Matt has can you call from memory at this point? How will that change over the course of time?
Say it one more time.
So if you go up to the line of scrimmage, do you have, what's your catalog of plays that you can go to just on what you know about the offense?
Yeah, a little less than it was before. But, you know, we do a lot of stuff where we'll have 2 or 3 plays called in the huddle, and you're trying to get to the best one based on the look. And then we have subtle checks as well that we're working in and working through. But it's going to be a work in progress. You know, I think once we get going on some of the no-huddle stuff, that to me has always been what cements that the offense into your head, because you start simplifying things even more in the no-huddle. But I feel good about the offense. I feel good about the things that we can do in it. But I think it's just kind of in its infancy right now in training camp, and I think it has a lot of room to grow, and it's going to be fun.
Is it different that, you know, you could go up to the line and call a play that was run 5 years ago previously, you know, or, you know, tell everybody to run it? Is that different? You don't really have that ability, or?
Well, I don't have the guys that I've, you know, made those checks to, and the verbal and nonverbal and the hand signals. And that's just life in the NFL. So you have to adjust, and I always have to check myself, because the way that I think about things might, you know, it's not, nobody learns the same way or sees things the same way. So I got to make sure anything I do out there or say, you know, I got to really make sure we're all on the same page. You know, early on, you know, it was Billy, making sure he's great on the cadence and he understands what this means and what that means and what this code words means. And with the receivers, it's just constant communication. But that's kind of life for me. I was in the QB room yesterday, and I started telling the story, and I realized nobody in here was here, probably even knows who I'm talking about. And it was like 7 years ago. So I'm just going to stop.
Aaron, day 1 of training camp is usually a easy, normal down and distance install. You guys went straight to red zone today. Is that safe to say you have a lot of the playbook already installed, ready to roll?
I think a lot of it's just trying to save our legs, but there's a lot of stuff in. We went through a ton of plays in the OTAs and minicamp, and we kind of went over some of the base concepts again, but we went right to red zone to just kind of ease into camp. But you know, there's a stress definitely on all of us from a mental approach as we enter this camp, because as much as we've done it in OTAs and minicamp, the speed of practice amps up. And when the speed amps up, the reaction times have to amp up, and the focus and the attention to your details has to be on point, and that puts a little extra pressure, I think, on the situation.
Aaron, Matt talked about trying to figure out what you guys do best on offense, maybe what the best personnel group is. Do you have a timeline in your own head as to when you'd like to have those questions answered in this game?
No, I think, Mike, things like that usually shuffle themselves out the right way. I mean, there's going to be things that happen, guys that jump up, guys that maybe don't play as well as they want to, and naturally we'll see as this camp goes on what's working, the best against our defense, against Houston in the preseason, and we'll kind of work into it. But even when you find out you can go into a season and think that 20 personnel is going to be your bell cow, and you might get into it and realize, man, we got to go more 11, got to go more 12. So things can adjust, but there'll be a starting point of the first 11 that we like out there. But we have so many talented guys. We got to find a way to get them in positions to get the ball in their hands.
Tim Moore will talk to you before Tuesday, but are you excited about practicing against the Texans?
I think it's good for all of us.
Have you ever done a joint practice?
Yeah, you weren't here. This was back against Buffalo, 2005. And then we did family night scrimmage against Buffalo here, my rookie year. I completed one pass. It's a great pass. I think one for 7. But I think the thing that you worry about with joint practices is the fighting, or guys, in compromise situations. So hopefully everybody's on the same page for that, because every year, all of us, we do it. We look around, we watch the TV, we see a huge fight, Dallas against somebody, or LA against Oakland, or the fans are fighting. That's what you don't want. But hopefully the guys come with the right approach, and if they do, then it's going to get a lot of great work. And if they don't, we're going to be wasting our time breaking up fights the whole time.
What do you think about them riding bikes? What do you think about them riding bikes?
Them? They get the right bikes?
Yeah.
Loosen up some of the wheels maybe or something.
Hey, can I ask you a big picture question here?
Yeah, one more, Pete. Yeah, go ahead.
So you got the big contract last year. When the coaching changed to go to a little more cutting edge offense, what do you feel like is at stake these next couple of years with all the changes and just working out that way, the way that you seem to want it?
Say what?
The way that you seem to want it. With you got the contract. Now you have a more cutting edge offense that you guys are working on. I'm just wondering what your thought is in the next couple of years. What's at stake for you as a franchise?
Yeah, my career's at stake every year I go out there. I gotta perform. Otherwise, they're gonna find somebody who can come in here and do it just as well for less. And we all know that. Everybody's expendable. Every great player that I've been around here, just about, is either finished up somewhere else or had a disappointing end to the time here. So I'd like to not be one of those guys, but I'm realistic enough to realize it's happened to a lot of my close friends. So I need to play well. I expect to play well. Expect for us to be successful, and I expect this not to be an issue moving forward.